Hi, everyone. It's Shannon Port, and I welcome you to day 5 of our 21-day I Am Goddess activation and meditation. And so I'll just give it a moment. I just shared on social media. Going to see if anyone comes on live today. I know it's a weekend, it's Saturday, and we were together every day this week. And I'm really looking forward to day 5 today. And so just see if anyone, oh, it looks like some people are here. Okay, you're just quiet, but you're here. I can see you. Okay, wonderful. All right, welcome. Today is Saturday, and the theme for our meditation and activation today is spiritual maturity. Spiritual maturity. And we will be working with the archetype of Saturn. Saturn is one of the key players at the time of the solstice on December 21st. Saturn will be at 0 degrees of Aquarius. And so Saturn is beginning, it went in briefly this past year and then went retrograde back into Capricorn, the sign it rules, and now it will be in Aquarius for the next couple of years. And so this will be quite a serious time for us. It will be conjunct Jupiter. Jupiter will make a transit through Aquarius as well. And so those two archetypal energies together have a bit of a serious tone to them. Jupiter is the planet of expansion and of expanding everything. And together with Saturn, there's a quality of being able to land things, to bring things in, to use the wisdom and the justice and the spiritual power of Jupiter and alongside the power of Saturn to ground it in. And so I believe that we are going to be working with kind of leveling up leveling in these first couple years, because we want to come into the higher expression of Aquarius as we're getting ready to be in this sign for a very long time moving forward. And Saturn is the teacher. Saturn is the great teacher. It's a mother energy and it's a contracting energy. And it is truly the archetype that brings us into spiritual maturity. Saturn rules Capricorn, and if you know any Capricorns have a bit of a serious side to them. They're grounded, they're focused, and they're very good usually at being able to understand the value of the material world. Sometimes even too much, but they understand status. They understand having the power to climb. They have a high work ethic, and they respect a high work ethic. They also respect being accountable and responsible and mature and wise. And so these are some of the qualities that that Saturn will bring in. And so I welcome you to come in the chat. Everyone's so quiet today. It's Saturday. So Saturday is ruled by Saturn. And so that's why Saturdays, it's the Sabbath, but it has a quality of being reflective, of taking that day to rest and to reflect, to go into a more quiet mode after Friday, which is the celebratory Venusian day. But it's a time to assess everything. It's a time to look at what is out of balance within our own vessel. And it gives us the power to understand what we need to do to level up. How can we take accountability in our own lives? What needs to go? What have we outgrown? This is very Saturn. What in the past are we releasing? Because Saturn also rules releasing the past, letting go of what we've outgrown and what is no longer good for us. And that can mean addictions. Capricorn also has a strong connection with our addictions. Saturn lets us know when it's time to let something go. If something has been throwing us off for a long time, Saturn will be a very harsh teacher if we're not willing to come into that wisdom on our own. And so that's why Saturn is associated with very serious transits. And Saturn will be square to Uranus and Taurus. And this for sure is going to bring in an energy of accountability for the planet and for the human race, because Uranus is in Taurus, the sign of the earth and the sign of the physical world, and also really bringing things in. And Uranus is bringing an energy of huge change. It's also kind of rousing sexual energy. In the underworld, it has a very an energy very linked to sexuality and some of the darker side of sexuality. And when Saturn squares Uranus, it will hold us accountable for the energies that we are swimming in, the energies that we have manifest, because Saturn rules manifestation. It's when I talked a lot about Capricorn in the past year because of the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, and that really is highlighting what we bring into form. And so that being said, before we go into the meditation, it also has to do with how we use our sensual appetites, the five senses, how we use the mind to direct our sensual appetites, and the elements, the five elements, very connected to the five elements and our sensual appetites, and how we move those with our mind and the collective mind. There's something I want to say. I'm just going to look for it. It was coming in earlier this morning. What we are experiencing is we talk about the kind of the interdimensional subconscious and dark forces that influence us, the negative astral forces, and those most certainly are interacting with our mind and with our lower appetites all the time in the realm that we occupy. And so there's a temptation to always look to some darker force. And in some ways that is, that program is being run to take people out of their own sovereignty and their own power, because Saturn will give you sovereignty when you take accountability. There are dark forces, and those dark forces use all of us. Whenever we're available, we talked about giving our consciousness over. We are used. Our vessel is so powerful, it's so in demand, that our energy is used as a projector vehicle for whatever force would like to use those. The key is that we have to be running our energy at that frequency on some level in order for that link to be established. So that means that Saturn asks us to understand our frequency and understand what we are available for. What are we making ourselves available for now? Because at this time, a lot of what we make ourselves available for is unconscious. Because technology has us moving around so much, we're looking at this, it's triggering carnal impulses without us thinking. It's bypassing our conscious mind and going right in. And once it does that, or we're going right to the back of our brain, to the lunar consciousness, and wow, everyone just popped on at once. There must have been there was a delay in the chat. I just looked down and saw all these messages coming in, so you guys are here. So it activates our lunar brain and starts to make our energy work in the direction that's being triggered. So think about it. You're working, you're doing your work. I see this all the time. And there's an ad popping up to the side, and it's pulsing. And these days technology is so sophisticated. There's a new level that's been rolled out, and it actually it's like it pops off the screen. Because you can see the glitches right now. There's a lot of glitches, and you can feel it kind of having this sort of jerky effect. But those impulses are going right in constantly, faster than you can even consciously process. What happens is that whatever beliefs you have that you're not even aware of, they log on immediately. They log on. And once you're logged on, you might have a reaction that comes 24 hours later after connecting with that impulse. And it's so sophisticated now how we know how to access that energy. It's very sophisticated. There's deep, deep, deep research behind it, and we can be accessed. And so now there are certain things I want to say, and then we'll go into the meditation. In order to be, neutralize all of that, in order to, we talked about this in day one, or I talked about this in the December 2020, the Goddess Report. In order to have in order to have the override frequency in our auric field, we have to do a little bit of spiritual work. And so that's what we're here to talk about today. We have to claim our spiritual maturity so that we have sovereignty in our field. And Saturn also rules contracts. So the contracts that we make have to be seen and rewritten. Whatever old wounds, the past we have that's not healed, that's affecting and this is so powerful. This is what psychology is all about. Whatever is running our energy that we're not even aware of, we're going to need to investigate that, because how our energy is given out will be directly connected to those beliefs, those contracts. And so we're creating at a very rapid speed. That's Uranus in the sign Taurus. Things are quick. They're moving really. Uranus is light speed. It's faster than light speed. It goes so fast. It changes so fast. So that's what's happening, that the world, there's rapid speed happening. So whatever we are as a collective, imagine how technology has amplified this energy. It's amazing. So with Saturn in Aquarius, we're going to, the leaders and the teachers and the masters, the ones who will be able to carry that responsibility, will have really done this work. And so I'm going to look down and say hi to you all. And then we'll just do a little meditation around this and see what I haven't even planned it. We'll see what comes in. It's time. It's time. It's time. And Saturn rules time. Oh, nice to see you. Yay, from New Zealand. Oh, and nice to see you from Australia. I'll just take a quick peek. Nice. Yes, Saturn transits are big. Saturn transits are big. Oh, nice to see you from Sweden, from the UK, from Ecuador. Lovely. All right. From Boston. Nice. From LA, from Spain, from Ohio, and from Croatia and Tennessee. All right. Thank you. It's so nice to check in with you and just kind of see where all the lights are going off right now. All right. So we'll start with I am in the 7 directions. This is serious. This is serious. Talking about Saturn is serious. And I'll hold off saying more until we're in. All right. Let's go in. Let's enter the temple. You know the drill by now. I'm just going to take a moment to open up your heart center. Take a couple deep breaths in. Might even take a moment and just stretch open across your chest. It's kind of nice to run this energy along your arms. You'll feel the energy that run up along the underside and the overside, and it just kind of opens the meridians as they come out your fingertips and reminds us to open this this area as well. Take some shoulder rolls and all right. Bring your intention into your awareness, whatever it is that you would like to bring with you. The vision, we talked about vision yesterday, of yourself in the new energy on the planet in the age of Aquarius. How do you vision yourself? What is the impulse that you are receiving of who you are, who you've come to be? What is the divine healing that's taking place in your life right now? What gifts would you like to activate and see yourself supported in this journey? The journey involves healing as well. So there's times when our journey is also about healing in these energies of Saturn. And so just holding that in your heart and repeating after me. I am before me. I am behind me. I am at my left. I am at my right. I am above me. I am below me. I am unto me. And please take a deep, deep breath in. Fill yourself all the way up with that life force energy, the prana, the ruach. Breathing it in and hold. Bring your focus onto your intention that you called in just a moment ago. And exhale it all out. And we'll activate it, all three planes, saying, I am, I am, I know I am, I am, I am, I know I am. All right. And you can just bring your hands to your lap if you want. So I'm just going to have you take a moment now. And we're going to go in, and I want you to just think about your life. And life is also connected to Saturn. Saturn's connected to life and death, the energy of the mother. She births and she takes away in matter. And so, if you just take a moment and bring yourself into the awareness of this lifetime and just scan your life quickly, take a moment and bring yourself to what you might think of as your contract or the contracts that you're running in this lifetime. Karmic contracts, meaning there's some things we've come to do that we just don't necessarily have a choice over the matter. And these things also oftentimes bring us maturity. Life in this realm in 3D is a mix. It's a mix of joy and suffering, of hard work and play. It's the land of duality. We can't have one without the other on the wheel. And so, as we're waking up, there are things that we may have carried for lifetimes. And in this lifetime, we have to finish our business and finish our spiritual work. And so, finishing our spiritual work requires that we show up for it. And so sometimes we want to stay the child, and we don't want to have to do it. We don't want to have to deal with what might feel messy or painful or even emotional. Um, one of the shadows of Saturn can be to shut down emotions, but on the light side of Saturn, we look at them and understand what has created them. So again, one of the shadows of Saturn would be to completely contract and shut out being able to feel. It can be cold, like the planet. It can be very cold and a little aloof and not wanting to deal. But but the energy of Saturn forces us to look and to understand the true energy of this spiritual maturity archetype is understanding. And what we gain from this work and from showing up and taking accountability and being responsible is we gain mastery. We gain more personal sovereignty and power. And it's those very things that we had to work at or stumble through, or it's those, sometimes having the rug pulled out from underneath us can be very Saturn. It can just, or very contracted, the times we felt isolated or shut down, that can make us have to work to get to the other side. Saturn is about hard work. So there's a part of this lifetime that involves hard work. Saturn is also the parent. It rules the parent. So if you happen to have been a parent in this lifetime, nothing, if it's really done right, when we show up for it, we don't necessarily um, haven't come into the highest expression of that as a collective, but anybody who has had a child or raised a child knows how much it's a lot of work. It's also the greatest, but this is a good example. And if you don't have a child or don't plan to have a child, just know that anything you birth can fall into this category. I'm using the child because it's the archetype. That the child brings you the greatest amount of work. Anybody who's, so many authors have written books about their CEOs or their spiritual teachers, and they'll say, but by the way, raising my child was so much harder than any of this. And it's because, and you could say that about being in a relationship, or you could say that about many things, but it makes you grow up. It makes you experience joy, but there's also some sadness and hard work that comes with it. And sometimes it's not easy. You have to experience through another person, but their ups and downs. And sometimes it's not even about you. It's beyond your control. You have to serve. Saturn will teach us that, and it can be applied to anything. But Saturn does have that father energy. It has the mother energy as well, Kabbalistically. So anything that we birth, whether it's a home or a business, a work of art, um, a community. In fact, here's another archetype for this. When we take on a leadership role, we're in a Saturn position. And being a leader is the same as being a spiritual parent. So that's why it rules masters. When we have completed our lessons, the universe will bring people to us that can learn and that we can hold space for. And this is the true definition when one begins to have an outreach and are working with people. There's a sense of holding karmic space, and it requires us to really show up and sometimes put our own ego beneath the situation and to serve. But it also requires that we understand boundaries and we understand how to be serious and have wisdom. And so, even you can see as I'm channeling in this energy, it's a more serious tone. There's a time to not be all fun and games. There's a time to speak truthfully and with a serious tone as well. And that's very Saturn. It has that serious side of the parent energy, but it also enables the innocence of the divine child within us that we talked about yesterday. And so now we'll just take a moment. We're going to integrate a little bit. Take a deep breath in and exhale. On day one, we talked about the body as a vehicle and taking care of our body. Saturn rules form, so it governs the body. It governs the sphere on the tree that brings the soul into physical reality, the kingdom. On day two, we talked about our consciousness as that moving, breathing life force of our divine, of the feminine aspect. Within that consciousness is carried our ability to move and breathe and feel and know and express, speak. On day three, we talked about our divine feminine energy of our heart. We talked about how we are creators and always creating. And yesterday we talked about vision. Saturn also rules vision. So now we're bringing all of those up to the level of having spiritual maturity to take responsibility for what we have and what we've been given. And so on Saturday today, ask you to just look inward, and looking at your contracts, ask yourself, where do you need to gain more wisdom? Where do you need to show up for yourself more? Where are you being called to stop blaming anything on the outside and start looking inward? Like Saturday's a day to reflect and look inward, to assess. Where have you maybe not taken responsibility and then felt low self-worth as a result? Sometimes when we don't show up for ourselves, it affects our self-worth, and then we look, the mind, it rules the lower mind as well, the ego wants to blame. Notice when we don't show up for ourselves and we have some time on our hands, we're not using our time wisely, we look for the person that we want to blame. The mind gets up to all kinds of trouble when it's not focused. And so our contracts are to keep us on track. Saturn transits keep us on track. They keep us accountable. If we've wandered too far off our own path, they'll bring us back really quick. And if we don't see the signs, they remove something from our life that we treasured. And that's why Saturn's associated with death and loss. It makes our vision smaller and focused by removing things that were distracting us. And it can be very painful. But when we take accountability, we gain mastery and we're able to understand what needs to be done. We grow up and we realize that we had this power all along. And so just taking a moment, see these areas, and whatever associations that you might have had that were not positive or that wanted to not look, and just forgive them. If you need to release something gently, just release it. See it being removed and going to its proper place so that some of that energy is liberated within you, some of that bondage eased up if you're ready to have that freedom back. to use it wisely. And then take a deep breath in when you're ready. And exhale. The world at this time is ready for people who hold wisdom and who hold maturity. The more accountable we are, and the more discipline we have, Saturn rules discipline, the more freedom we have. It's like in martial arts, you have to learn the techniques before you can break free of them. It's like in any, even to think about ballet or think about paint as a painter, you have to learn the rules first. It for those to do them well, and then you can throw them out the window. Now, I'm thinking of painting. Sometimes I know some self-taught painters, but they have a sense of their own structure and their own commitment, which is very Saturn. Commitment is really the same as the rules. When we commit to something and we repeat it over and over, we gain mastery of it. And so, this is what the world needs right now with Saturn entering into the sign of Aquarius. Saturn's going to be asking us to understand the group, to understand friendship, to understand sisterhood and brotherhood and community with wisdom, to understand the wise use of technology. How can we honor our advancements and our inventions and our wonderful, capacity to create things that are amazing, but how can they balance with our need to go inward and to remain connected to the wisdom that lives within us? How can we engage with those without selling out, without handing over our ability to connect on that vertical level? And so when we do this, when we look at these things, we realize we can begin whatever it is we need to begin now. We can start. We don't need to wait for the world to be perfect. The world is always on the wheel. It's always going through cycles. There's been many, many very difficult cycles, even in the past 100 or so years. And if any of you have family members who have lived through war or through concentration camps or through, you will understand that there has been, or famine, or, some of the things that we're experiencing now. It's nothing new. It's amplified because of technology. And this is why Aquarius is going to be so highlighted right now, especially with the ruler of Aquarius, Uranus, in the sign of the earth, the divine mother Gaia. It's going to be really important that we understand. So let me just see if there's anything else that I meant to say. We covered it all. I mean, it's a really a big download for Saturn and spiritual maturity, but a true master has divine innocence because they've mastered maturity and wisdom. They've gone beyond fear. So what true spiritual maturity is to understand what fear is and to do all the work it takes to go beyond fear, so that it doesn't mean you might not contract when you need to. When you're working with a lot of energies or something gets thrown at you, you may have to contract and shut down and go inward, but the fear is quite neutralized. It's quite neutralized. And you know where the override comes from. And so I'm going to take a peek down. And nice to see you from Madison. Nice to see you. Does anybody have any? I can see that, Cap Rising. Does anybody have any questions or anything you want to bring in right now before we? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Let's look at the world right now, because the world, we'll close by looking at the world. The world is under this influence. And I've been working a lot with this in my own specific work that I do. And I work a lot on the inner to hold space for balancing in the outer world. And so I'm always working with my inner guidance and asking where to show up and how how to look at what's going on. There's some very big things, and I had to go into a few streams a ways in to understand if I want to give my energy to that or not, and to investigate it and understand what really is happening. The thing that I will focus on here on this platform is what I see, what I personally see, what I'm receiving is the most important thing to look at. And we're talking about all those things now. Um, a lot of times people who mean very, very well get wrapped up in an idea, and they get locked into the group think and get way, way, way carried away and go beyond working on a conscious level. And that can turn bitter really fast, even if the intention was good. What's that saying? The road to hell was paved with good intentions. That's a pretty intense saying, but the road to hell, and Saturn in a way represents that. It can be known, Saturn in its dark side is, well, it's even associated with the worship of the dark side. So that's all archetypal, and we have it all right here. And what we can love more when we do our Saturn work. We can be more carefree and more childlike once we've done this work. And so there's nothing, but there is a place for discipline. There is a place for commitment. There is a place for having to learn the hard lessons. I've never met, put it this way, in my 19 years of mentoring, anyone who had it perfect ever. Anyone who hasn't had severe human lessons show up. And so that in that way, we're all humble. It makes us humble, but it makes us powerful. And it also makes us understand the power of silence, because there's also a saying that when we have the wisdom, we have a certain amount of silence in our aura. We know when to speak and when not to. And that's what Saturn is. It has a contractive force, because there's a time to release everything, and there's a time to sit with something and to know the difference. It's very, very powerful. In this world, there's a great runneth over of language and information, and a lot of it is being given unconsciously. And so it's something to think about, having time within and quiet time, and not always feeling like you have to, it's very powerful to understand that. And so, yeah. Oh my God. Saturn by the North Node. That's powerful, because it can also mean you attract a lot of wisdom into your life too, and a lot of teachers and people with profound knowledge. I've seen really good things with that, with the North Node. Okay. All right, everyone. Tomorrow is Sunday. Oh, I'm excited for tomorrow. So I'm just going to ask that we close this one out with great forgiveness, great humility, and knowing that if you're here right now, there's something beautiful in this for you. I can feel it. There's something that's meant to shift, something that will give you power going into the future, and something that's ready to move. It could be something that's been holding you back for a long time. It's ready to move. Because if you're here right now, you're ready to show up. You would not have been through this download if you aren't. So that being said, I bow to everyone with huge blessings, and I thank you from the depths of my heart for being part of this. I couldn't give it if there weren't people to receive it. And I invite you to join. If this is your first time, we'll be here through every day at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time through December 21st. I invite you to subscribe. If you enjoyed the content, please give the video a thumbs up. It is very helpful at this time, and would love to hear from you in the comments as well. I've had the most beautiful interactions with people, and really, really enjoyed hearing from all of you, and seeing so many people that I know, and so many people from the past and who I've worked with over the years showing up. It's just absolutely a gift. And so I bow to you. And until next time, have a beautiful weekend, a beautiful Saturday night, and I'll see you tomorrow. And invite your friends. It's a weekend, so perhaps you can bring some people with you tomorrow if you come. All right, bye.